It was a cold, rainy night in the city. The streets were half empty, and the sound of raindrops hitting the taxi's windshield was the only music keeping David company. David, a middle aged taxi driver, had been working for almost 12 hours straight. He was exhausted, but bills had to be paid, and his teenage daughter's school fees were due the next week. That's why he kept driving, even when most drivers had already gone home. As David drove past an old alley, he noticed a man stumbling in the rain. His clothes were expensive, but soaked and torn, and his face showed pain. The man waved weakly at David's taxi. Without thinking twice, David pulled over. The stranger opened the back door and collapsed into the seat. His voice was low and weak. "Please, drive." David looked at him through the mirror and asked, "Sir, are you okay? Do you need a hospital?" The man shook his head quickly, breathing heavily. "No, no hospital. Just take me out of here." David hesitated. Something about the stranger didn't feel right. His watch alone looked like it cost more than David's entire year of earnings. Yet here he was, drenched, desperate, and afraid. David started driving. The streets were quiet, but the man kept looking back nervously, as if someone was following them. David tried to break the silence. "Rough night, huh?" The man didn't answer. He just whispered, "You have no idea." A black SUV appeared in the rearview mirror. Its headlights were too close. David felt tension rise. The man noticed too and said, "Lose them, please, just lose them." David's heart raced. He was just a taxi driver. He wasn't used to car chases. But something told him this was serious. He pressed the accelerator, weaving through narrow streets, splashing water as the SUV tried to keep up. Finally, after a few dangerous turns, David managed to escape. The stranger let out a sigh of relief and leaned back, whispering, "Thank you." David parked in a quiet street to catch his breath. He offered the man his jacket. "Look, I don't know what trouble you're in, but you should call someone you trust." The man smiled faintly. "You'd be surprised. I can't trust anyone tonight." David replied, "Well, you can trust me, at least until you get where you need to go." They sat in silence for a while. David thought about asking who he was, but decided against it. Instead, he just drove as the man gave directions. Eventually, the stranger said, "You remind me of someone I used to know. Someone who believed in doing the right thing, no matter the cost."
The ride ended in front of an old, abandoned warehouse by the docks. The man stepped out slowly, clearly weak but determined. He looked at David and said, "You saved me tonight. Maybe one day I'll repay you. But for now, forget you ever saw me." He handed David a folded note and walked away into the darkness. David opened the note later. It was blank, except for a strange symbol, like a crest. He didn't understand it, but he kept it in his pocket. The next morning, David turned on the television while sipping his cheap coffee. What he saw made him freeze. On the screen was the very man he had driven last night. The headline read, "Billionaire philanthropist Alexander Cross found dead in mysterious circumstances." David's heart sank. He realized the man had been Alexander Cross, one of the wealthiest and most influential men in the country, a man known for his secret charities and powerful enemies, and David had been the last person to see him alive. David sat in shock. The note with the crest suddenly made sense. It was Alexander's private foundation symbol. Had he trusted David with something important? Did he want David to deliver a message? The questions haunted him. But it was too late. Alexander was gone, and with him, the answers. That night, David realized something important. He had saved a man's life, but never learned who he truly was until it was too late. It taught him a lesson. You never know the true value of the people you meet. Sometimes a stranger in your backseat might just be someone who could change the world, and sometimes you only understand their worth when they're gone. From that day forward, every passenger David picked up wasn't just a fare. They were a story, a soul, a life worth respecting. Because one rainy night had shown him that even the most ordinary encounters
could carry extraordinary secrets.